In 1996, a man managed to siphon off an estimated $16 million from Las Vegas, despite having never gambled or even stepped foot inside a casino prior to this. His operation was so unprecedented that it left casino operators baffled, unable to fathom that this unassuming individual was behind such a complex heist. This is the story about Louis Colavecchio, a master craftsman and jewelry designer renowned for his one-of-a-kind creations. Louis was the go-to guy for intricate, specialized pieces, crafting unique, handmade jewelry that captivated all who saw it. But at the age of 51, after 27 years of dedicated craftsmanship, Louis decided it was time to retire. However, retirement didn't bring the peace he expected. Instead, he found himself sinking into a deep depression, feeling unneeded and restless. This all changed one day in September 1993, when a friend suggested a road trip to New England's newly opened Foxwood Casino to shake off the gloom. Inside the bustling casino, Louis felt out of place, watching his friends engage with slot machines while he stood by, unsure and uninterested in participating. Not knowing how to play, he was hesitant, but his friend handed him some tokens to get started. As Louis inserted the first token, he felt indifferent. The same went for the second. The bright flashing lights of the slot machines did nothing to pique his interest, but it changed when he picked up one of the larger Foxwood tokens that his friend had given him. He held the coin, waved his hand up and down to feel the weight of it. Louis was entranced, not just by the design of the Foxwood Casino token, but by the challenge it represented. The intricacies of replicating such a token piqued his curiosity and expertise in a way that no simple piece of jewelry had before. This challenge, however, was formidable. In the past, counterfeiting casino tokens might have been simpler when casinos used standard silver dollar coins in slot machines, but by 1979, casinos had largely transitioned to their proprietary tokens, minting them in various denominations. By the time Louis encountered the token in 1993, casinos had honed their counterfeit detection capabilities to a fine edge. Surveillance was intense, tracking each token from the moment a player walked through the door until they cashed out. Using counterfeit tokens wasn't just illegal, it was incredibly risky. The complexity of this task was further compounded by the advanced technology employed in modern slot machines. By 1986, many machines were equipped with a comparator mechanism, a sophisticated device that used lasers and electric currents to evaluate a coin's size, pattern, and material in milliseconds. As a coin traveled down the chute, the comparator would match it against 5,000 reference points, assessing everything from the rim's processing to its specific shape and angle. At first glance, the task for Louis Colavecchio seemed nearly impossible. He needed to create a counterfeit so flawless that neither a human nor the sophisticated machines employed by casinos could detect the difference. To accomplish this, he required two critical pieces of equipment. The first was a set of professional quality dies, the heart of any counterfeiting operation. The die would be responsible for imprinting the intricate details onto a metal blank that would be transformed into a casino token. Without these dies, Louis's entire operation would be dead in the water. The second crucial piece of equipment was an industrial press. Acquiring these machines would transform Louis's casual curiosity into a full-scale, high-stakes enterprise. However, the price tag was steep. But Louis was undeterred by the costs or risks involved. Determined to see his vision through, Louis dipped into his retirement savings and purchased an automated industrial press for $35,000, equivalent to nearly $75,000 in today's money. This was a significant investment, but it was only the beginning. To create an impeccable die, Louis would need to replicate it from an authentic casino token. The only way to achieve this level of precision was with an electrical discharge machine, EDM, another major expense. Despite not having produced a single successful token yet, Louis bought the EDM for $15,000, bringing his total investment to around $50,000. The project consumed so much of his time and energy that he could no longer keep it hidden from his girlfriend, Julie. Intrigued by the potential for riches, she agreed to assist him. After 6 grueling months of trial and error, on February 6, 1994, Louis finally produced his first counterfeit token, a Foxwoods $10 coin. With the freshly minted token in hand, he hurried to Foxwoods Casino, eager to test his creation. By this point, Louis had invested $50,000 just to produce a single $10 token. But in his eyes, the result was perfect. The design, weight, and measurements were all spot on. But what happened next shattered Louis's confidence. Expecting the machine to accept the token without hesitation, he slid it into the slot. The machine immediately rejected it. Stunned, he retrieved the token and tried again. Nothing. He inserted it 3 more times, but each time, the result was the same. Louis Colavecchio felt defeated and exhausted. After investing months of his life and every last penny of his retirement savings into this ambitious project, all he had to show for it was a rejected token and shattered hopes. With his girlfriend by his side, Louis was torn between cutting his losses and abandoning his counterfeiting operation or pressing forward, determined to pinpoint and rectify whatever flaw caused his carefully crafted token to fail. But anyone who knew Louis also knew that quitting wasn't an option. As he returned home, frustration boiled over. He vented to his girlfriend, swearing that no one could tell the difference between his counterfeit and the real token, even under a microscope. In a fit of rage, he threw the fake tokens onto the table, followed by a genuine Foxwoods token. The pair stared at the coins, realizing something was off. Both coins looked the same, but when they hit the table, they made distinctly different sounds. The revelation was immediate. The material was the issue, not the design. Now he realized the slot machines were also listening for the specific sound made when a real token dropped. To succeed, Louis needed to match not just the appearance but also the exact alloy composition of the authentic Foxwoods token. Determined to get it right, Louis discovered that metallurgy labs across the country offered metal analysis services, but simply sending in a casino token for testing would immediately raise suspicion. He needed to be discreet. So, he devised a clever ruse, sending the token disguised as a piece of jewelry for analysis. When the results came back, they revealed the token was made from a specialized alloy known as HS2, a blend of copper and zinc with 6% nickel-silver added. But this revelation only introduced a new challenge. HS2 was a rare and highly regulated alloy, primarily used in British currency, making it nearly impossible to obtain. Undeterred, Louis searched for alternatives. After extensive research, he found a company producing cutlery with a similar alloy. Although it wasn't an exact match, it was the closest he could get. This alloy also contained copper and zinc, but had a slightly higher nickel-silver content at 7%. With limited options and a growing desperation, Louis decided it was close enough and moved forward with his new plan. Now at a critical juncture, with over $100,000 of his life savings invested, Louis crafted another batch of tokens using the new alloy. This was his last shot. He was all in. Nervously sweating, he entered the casino once again, holding his breath as he approached the slot machine. Would this finally be the breakthrough he had been striving for? Crossing his fingers and praying for a miracle, Louis inserts his counterfeit token into the slot machine, hoping against hope that it won't get rejected. And finally, it works. The year is 1994, and after months of relentless effort, Louis has cracked the code. But while successfully forging a token is a victory, it's only the first step. Making life-changing money requires more than just a perfect replica. He needs a strategy that can outsmart the ever-watchful casino on a massive scale. Louis knows that every inch of the casino floor is under constant surveillance. Simply redeeming his counterfeit tokens at the cashier without playing first would draw immediate attention and land him in trouble. To avoid triggering the suspicions of the ever-vigilant pit bosses, he must use the tokens in play, ensuring that he does so long enough to blend in with regular gamblers. But Louis is savvy enough to realize that raking in millions at a single casino would draw too much heat. Instead of hitting one casino for a massive haul, he devises a smarter approach. Hit dozens of casinos for smaller amounts, like $100,000 each. This diversification strategy means more work, but far less risk. The nearest cluster of casinos outside of his hometown in Providence is in Atlantic City, New Jersey, a 5-hour drive away. However, this plan brings new challenges. Each of the 12 casinos in Atlantic City uses different tokens across multiple denominations: $10, $25, and $100. Louis needs to replicate all these designs accurately. No easy task, considering the intricate details and sheer number of tokens involved. The workload becomes overwhelming. Realizing he can't do it all alone, Louis turns to the only die maker he trusts, his old friend Al, one of the best tool and die makers in the state. Louis cuts Al in for a percentage of the profits, and with this partnership, they're ready to scale up the operation. Late in 1996, Louis and his girlfriend Julie prepare to launch their counterfeit blitz. By the early hours of the next morning, they've already swindled $25,000 from Atlantic City's casinos. The next night, they successfully circulate another $50,000 worth of tokens, all without raising any alarms. The pit bosses remain oblivious to the scam unfolding right under their noses. With the Atlantic City operation a resounding success, Louis and Al ramp up their efforts over the next 3 months. The money pours in, and no one suspects a thing. Buoyed by their success, they expand westward to Las Vegas and Reno, where Louis collects sample tokens from as many casinos as possible. Once back home, the team meticulously analyzes each token, replicating them to near perfection. With their production capabilities firing on all cylinders, they're poised to rake in tens of millions. But amidst their growing success, Louis overlooks one crucial detail. Casinos routinely check their token inventories to account for loss and damage. Eventually, an eagle-eyed employee at Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City notices something amiss. Upon conducting a routine check, the casino finds itself $24,000 over in inventory, specifically in $10 tokens. For a single denomination, this discrepancy is enormous, signaling that something is seriously wrong. Detective Flamer of the New Jersey State Police, assigned to the Casino Gaming Bureau. Although he lacks hard evidence, the unusual surplus prompts him to issue an alert to all Atlantic City casinos, warning them of a potential counterfeiting operation in the area. The stage is set for an investigation that could bring down Colavecchio's entire operation. The surveillance cameras at Bally's Atlantic City captured something odd. A man using $10 tokens lost 3 coins in a malfunctioning slot machine but didn't complain or ask for credit. Any regular gambler would have flagged the issue to an attendant nearby to get reimbursed, yet this man quietly left the casino. Suspicious, the staff inspected the machine and discovered more than 200 counterfeit tokens inside. The police now had their first major lead. They had his face on tape, but they still didn't know his name. Detective Flamer, however, was closing in. He knew that this wasn't the end of the story. Just 48 hours after Louis Colavecchio was caught on camera, he was nowhere to be found. Flamer had a gut feeling that Louis wouldn't be far, and he was right. The detective walked into another nearby casino, and there he was, right in the slot area. "I recognized him immediately," Flamer later recalled. But before the detective could act, Louis cashed out and vanished. Although Louis had momentarily escaped, his car was now linked to his identity, and they finally knew who he was: Louis Colavecchio, the mastermind behind the massive counterfeiting operation. With Colavecchio's identity uncovered, the authorities were ready to move. Detective Flamer reached out to the Rhode Island Police Department to initiate a multi-state effort to track him down. But in a shocking twist, disaster struck for Flamer. Under Rhode Island law, counterfeiting casino tokens wasn't considered a criminal offense since they weren't classified as official currency in the state. This meant that legally, Colavecchio was untouchable. Despite having a clear suspect, evidence, and a crime in progress, Flamer's hands were tied. With no legal path forward, Flamer could only wait and hope that Louis and his girlfriend Julie would slip up. Meanwhile, completely unaware of how close they were to getting caught, the duo continued their relentless spree, targeting casinos across the country but avoiding Atlantic City, until greed got the better of them. They decided to return to Atlantic City for one last big score. But this time, they wouldn't get away. As Louis stood at the cashier counter, ready to cash in more counterfeit tokens, he suddenly heard the words he'd been dreading. "Mr. Colavecchio, would you please step away from the counter?" Flamer had finally caught him, and transporting counterfeit tokens across state lines was a federal crime. The authorities soon raided Colavecchio's workshop, uncovering 123 dies, an EDM machine, and an industrial press. They even found detailed instructions Louis had written for his accomplice, Al. With all the evidence in hand, Louis, Julie, and Al were charged with violating trademark law and interstate trafficking of counterfeit goods. Estimates suggested that they had taken as much as $16 million. Faced with significant jail time, Al turned on Louis, testifying against him in court. This betrayal led to Colavecchio receiving a 7-year prison sentence. But even after his release, Louis couldn't stay away from his old tricks. The FBI arrested him again for counterfeiting after he was caught back in the game. Some of the fake tokens he produced have never been recovered and are still in circulation today. In July 2020, Colavecchio passed away due to health complications, marking the end of a notorious chapter in casino history. What do you think about Louis scamming the casinos again? Let us know in the comments. Do you want to watch more casino stories? Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.